like this one, none the least of which is because it's so easy, but it also has that red light on there. So one of the great things you can do is you can practice with this and turn the click off and leave the light on, and then work visually with that. But this is 69 beats per minute right here. So you would count that as your quarter note to start. So you would match your quarter notes when you're playing that like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Try that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, good. So you're anticipating that. It is a lot easier to play quickly because we don't have a lot of space in between those notes. I'm going to speed this up to 120 beats per minute. And so those are all quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's easy because they're all right next to each other and you know that they're coming right up. You slow that down to 56 beats per minute, and you have to wait and anticipate when that next beat's falling. That is tough, to have the patience and wait for that next beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Try that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it gets ridiculous if I dial it down to 42 beats per minute. 42 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3. Try this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good, very good. So you can see where you kind of have to anticipate when that subdivision is going to happen. Realistically speaking though, 69 to 70 is going to be your best bet for kind of developing this inner clock and calibrating that clock every once in a while. Don't use the metronome all the time. Use it about a quarter of the time or half of the time to check yourself, and then trust yourself. If you play with this all the time, it's not a bad thing, but you want to be able to do that because you're not always going to be able to have a metronome at your disposal when you're playing. Although in Nashville, if you walk along Broadway and see some of the guys playing drums, you'll see that they've got an inner ear monitor, and that's connected to a metronome. And most of these guys are dialed right in, and they're playing drums to a click to keep things a certain speed and so forth. So it's really interesting how it all ties together. So with this as our click at about 69 beats per minute here, here's how the cadence would sound with the quarter note, the 8th note, and the 16th note. 1, 2, 3, 4. Our quarter note, 1, 2, 3, 8. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I'm going to stick on the 8th note right now. For every click, I've got 2 strums, in and out, in, out, in, out, in, out, or out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in. But every out strum is landing on that click. So I'm trying to play as quiet as possible so the click can still be heard. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 16th note, that's going to click once for every beat, but for every time that clicks, we're going to strum 4 times, which literally does mean that we're strumming twice as fast as we were with the 8th notes. But we're not speeding up the tempo at all. We are just doubling what we're doing strum-wise. And that's where a lot of folks get into trouble with 16th notes. They just kind of go into it, lean in and start strumming, you know. But we're only doubling what we're doing in the previous measure. So here's the difference between the 8th note and the 16th note using the click. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Let's try that, and let's just go back and forth between the 8th note and the 16th note for every measure. So we'll start off with a measure of 8, a measure of 16, we'll go back to a measure of 8, measure of 16. Here we go, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and Once you nail this stuff down, everything else is total cake. Total cake. Once you get these rhythms under your fingers, because these are the main rhythms that you're going to use when you're playing a lot of tunes. So let's play the whole cadence together. That's going to include our quarter notes on the first measure, our eighth notes on the second measure, and our 16th notes on the third measure, and then we'll go right back to quarter, then eighth, and then 16th. This is a great way to start your practices. It's a great way to end your practices, just getting that calibration going. So here's a demonstration of how that's going to sound. From the quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 1. Just like that. Here we go, from the very, very beginning of the practice cadence. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 1. All right, good. So I do this often, and you know, I would love to be able to tell you that you could reach a plateau one day where you say, I never need to use this thing again. But you need to come back to it over and over and over again. Some of the best musicians I know, Ken Bloom, Steven Seifert, you know, Aaron O'Rourke, keep this on their desks and every day march to it. Not all the time, because you'll never develop your own innate feeling on how to make it happen. So you play along with it enough to understand how much you need to space yourself, and then turn it off and trust yourself to go along with that. And that's really, it's a huge, huge skill builder to do that.